In a world where everything around us feels real, yet our perceptions can be so easily fooled, what if the very nature of reality itself is more layered than we ever imagined? Today, we're diving into a mind-bending question. What is truly real, and how much of our experience is shaped by subjective perception? By unraveling the mysteries behind reality and illusion, you'll gain new insights into not just what you see and touch, but what truly exists beyond the surface. Stick around, because this isn't just theory, it's a journey into understanding the fabric of our existence itself. Defining reality and the subjective experience. The concept of reality is often taken for granted, yet it remains one of the most profound philosophical puzzles. At its core, reality encompasses everything that exists independent of our perceptions or beliefs, the external world that continues to exist whether or not someone is observing it. Scientific inquiry mostly assumes that an objective physical universe exists outside of individual consciousness, providing a firm ground for understanding phenomena from gravity to molecular biology. This external reality possesses characteristics that are measurable and consistent, regardless of who observes or tests them, which lends it a certain solidity and universality. However, the human experience complicates this picture. Each individual's subjective perception of reality can differ dramatically from others, shaped by sensory input, cultural background, emotional state, and personal history. For instance, two people witnessing the same event might interpret it in entirely different ways. One might see it as a traumatic incident, while the other perceives it as a humorous incident. These perceptions are constructed through mental filters, beliefs, and biases that create a personalized world. Because of this, the subjective experience becomes a lens through which external reality is filtered and sometimes distorted, making each person's experience uniquely their own. Philosophers and psychologists often grapple with the question of how much of our perceived reality aligns with the true external world. Sensory phenomena, such as colors, sounds, or tastes, are processed by the brain, yet they are not direct representations of external objects. Instead, they are interpretations constructed by neural activity in response to stimuli. For example, the color red is not an intrinsic property of an object, but an experience created by the brain's reaction to certain wavelengths of light. Underneath this, there exists a debate about whether any direct access to things in themselves is possible, or if all we ever have are perceptions, subjective shadows of an unreachable core reality. Amidst these considerations, some argue that reality is inherently intertwined with consciousness. From this perspective, what we consider real cannot be fully separated from the experience of being aware of it. Consider phenomena like optical illusions or hallucinations, where perception diverges sharply from physical facts. They exemplify how the boundary between external facts and internal experience is porous. In everyday life, an individual's subjective interpretation often feels more immediate and compelling than the external facts, especially when emotions or biases influence judgment. Ultimately, while the external universe may possess an independent existence, each person's internal reality is a complex mosaic of perception, memory, and interpretation, all of which shape what they ultimately understand as real. Philosophical theories of reality and perception. The question of what constitutes reality has fascinated thinkers for centuries, and it remains a central issue in philosophy. At the heart of this exploration lies the contrast between the external world, often called the real, and the subjective experiences that shape our perception of it. Different philosophical traditions have approached this divide in ways that reveal the complexity of perception and the nature of existence itself. Some argue that reality exists independently of our minds, an objective domain that remains unaffected by human consciousness. Others believe that what we perceive, or even how we perceive it, fundamentally shapes what we consider to be real. One influential approach is realism, which asserts that the world exists with properties that are independent of our thoughts or beliefs. Realists hold that objects, laws, and facts are out there whether or not anyone is observing them. For example, a mountain exists with or without someone viewing it. Yet, critics of strict realism point out that our knowledge of this mountain is always mediated through sensory experience, which can be deceptive or incomplete. As a result, Some philosophers contend that our perceptions are filters that shape and sometimes distort what we take to be really there. This idea leads to skepticism about the possibility of fully apprehending an objective reality. Idealism offers a different vantage point by arguing that reality, or at least what we understand as reality, is fundamentally rooted in consciousness or mental phenomena. According to this perspective, external objects do not exist independently, but are instead dependent on the mind for their existence. George Berkeley, a notable proponent of idealism, famously summarized this by stating, "Esse est percipi," to be is to be perceived. In this view, the physical world is a construct of perceptions, and what we call material objects are simply collections of sensory ideas sustained in the mind or by divine presence. This challenges the notion of an objective reality existing outside of perception altogether. Phenomenology and existentialist philosophy delve into how perception itself constructs experience. They emphasize that human consciousness actively interprets sensory data, giving it meaning and coherence. Instead of passively receiving a pre-given reality, individuals shape their perception through intentionality, biases, and cultural contexts. For example, two people observing the same scene might interpret it very differently based on their backgrounds and mental states. Here, perception becomes a constructive act, raising questions about whether there is a singular truth to reality or only diverse, subjective realizations. Ultimately, these theories urge us to consider that the boundary between what is real and what is perceived is not fixed but fluid, multi-layered, and deeply intertwined with consciousness itself. The role of consciousness and personal perspectives. Consciousness shapes the way individuals interpret and interact with the world around them, making the boundaries between what is real and what is subjective highly fluid. Our perception of reality isn't merely a passive reception of external stimuli. It is actively filtered through the lens of personal experience, beliefs, emotional states, and cultural backgrounds. For instance, two people witnessing the same event may report vastly different versions of what occurred, each colored by subconscious biases and individual contexts. This suggests that reality, as experienced, isn't purely objective but is instead co-created by our conscious minds. Personal perspective influences not just perception, but also the significance assigned to various phenomena. Someone deeply passionate about art might perceive a seemingly ordinary painting as a profound masterpiece, whereas a person with little interest in art might see nothing extraordinary. This difference highlights how subjective frameworks shape what we accept as real or meaningful. The human mind's capacity for personal interpretation means that even tangible, external objects, like a mountain or a piece of music, can be imbued with different levels of importance depending on who perceives them. The subjective lens acts as a filter, making reality a largely personal experience. Furthermore, consciousness doesn't merely serve as a passive observer, it actively constructs meaning. In some philosophical traditions, consciousness is seen as a kind of creative force, constantly shaping and reshaping reality through thoughts, beliefs, and imagined scenarios. Consider hallucinations or vivid dreams. Even though the sensations are entirely generated within the mind, they feel intensely real in the moment. This demonstrates that the mind's capacity to produce convincing internal realities influences what we accept as true, blurring the line between physical fact and mental fabrications. Our subjective experience becomes a prism through which the external universe is refracted into countless personal realities. Ultimately, the role of consciousness in defining reality underscores the idea that what we deem real is often a blend of external facts and internal perceptions. While the physical world has an existence independent of us, our engagement with it is inherently mediated through our consciousness. This interplay means that understanding the nature of reality requires acknowledgement of the rich complexity of personal perspectives. Every individual's mental map shapes their world, which makes the concept of a single, objective reality more of an ongoing negotiation than an absolute given. In this way, the subjective nature of perception becomes central to the philosophical exploration of what is truly real. Bridging the gap, objective reality and subjective interpretation. The nature of what constitutes real has long been a subject of philosophical debate, especially when contrasting objective reality with subjective interpretation. Objective reality refers to that which exists independently of human perception or belief. Think of physical laws, the presence of gravity, or the existence of distant stars. These phenomena are generally considered to be constant and verifiable through empirical evidence. For example, no matter who observes it, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius under standard atmospheric pressure. Such facts are seen as universal truths that stand apart from individual opinions or feelings. Yet, human experience is inherently filtered through subjective lenses. People interpret the world based on personal biases, cultural backgrounds, emotions, and cognitive frameworks. Two individuals might witness the same event, say, a heated argument, and perceive it in drastically different ways. One might see it as a terrible confrontation, while another perceives it as a passionate exchange. These interpretations shape their emotional responses and memories, coloring their understanding of reality. Despite the shared external event, each person's inner reality diverges, highlighting the complex dance between objective facts and subjective meaning. Bridging this gap involves recognizing that both perspectives contribute to human understanding but operate differently. Scientific inquiry relies on controlled experiments, reproducibility, and shared data, aiming to strip away personal biases to reveal a common reality. On the other hand, art, literature, and personal narratives embrace subjective perception, illustrating how individuals internalize and give meaning to their experiences. For example, a painting created by an artist might evoke entirely different emotions in viewers depending on their personal histories, cultural contexts, or even mood at the moment. This divergence underscores how subjective interpretation enriches human life, but can also lead to miscommunication or conflicting beliefs about what is real. The challenge lies in respecting this duality without collapsing one into the other. Scientific frameworks seek to establish a baseline of objective facts, while acknowledging that human consciousness, memory, and perception are inherently subjective. In everyday life, conscious efforts to understand others' perspectives can serve as a bridge. Listening to personal stories and considering different cultural contexts helps dissolve the illusion that there's only one true reality. Meanwhile, critical thinking allows us to question subjective biases and test assumptions against tangible evidence. Overall, the interplay between objective reality and subjective interpretation is a dynamic space, where awareness of both can lead to a richer, more nuanced grasp of the world around us and within us. Usnavnoy, Razgil 5. The question of what is truly real often hinges on the distinction between objective and subjective realities. Objective reality refers to things that exist independently of our perception, physical facts and phenomena that do not change regardless of who observes them. For example, the existence of a mountain or the laws of physics are considered objective because they remain consistent regardless of individual beliefs or feelings. This form of reality is foundational in scientific inquiry, where experiments and observations aim to uncover facts that are verifiable and consistent across different observers. However, subjective reality complicates this picture. It encompasses personal experiences, perceptions, thoughts, and emotions that cannot be easily measured or universally verified. For instance, one person's experience of pain or joy is deeply personal and may not be directly observable by others. Our consciousness interprets sensory input and constructs a version of reality that can vary significantly from person to person. This means that two individuals might witness the same event, but perceive it differently based on prior experiences, mood, or cultural background. In this context, what feels real to someone might not align perfectly with objective facts, raising questions about the nature of truth itself. Philosophically, the debate extends to the idea that reality might be fundamentally different from what we perceive. Some theories argue that our perceptions are mere illusions or filters, with the true nature of reality being inaccessible. What's known as the phenomenal versus noumenal distinction. For example, in quantum mechanics, particles behave differently when observed, hinting that consciousness might play a role in defining reality. Meanwhile, other perspectives, like phenomenology, emphasize the importance of individual experience in shaping what is considered real. They suggest that understanding reality involves exploring how it appears to us subjectively, rather than seeking an external, absolute truth. Within daily life, the interplay between the real and the subjective influences everything from decision-making to interpersonal relationships. People often trust their senses and personal intuition over abstract facts, especially when there's a conflict. Artistic expression exemplifies this tension. A painting can be objectively scrutinized for technique and color, yet its emotional impact depends entirely on personal interpretation. Similarly, in legal or scientific contexts, what's proven often relies on collective agreement and evidence, but personal belief or bias can sway that perception. This constant negotiation between what is objectively true and what feels subjectively real underscores the complexity of understanding existence itself. As we come to the end of our exploration into the nature of the real and the subjective, it's clear that understanding what constitutes reality isn't simply about facts or objects. It's also about perception, context, and consciousness. We've seen how our senses and minds shape our experience, making reality a dynamic interplay between external phenomena and internal interpretation. If these ideas spark curiosity, you're not alone. These questions have challenged thinkers for centuries, and they continue to inspire new perspectives. So keep questioning, keep observing, and never stop exploring what is truly real to you. Stay tuned for our next videos, where we'll delve deeper into consciousness, perception, and the mysteries that still surround us. If this discussion resonated, consider sharing your thoughts or subscribing to stay part of this ongoing journey. After all, understanding the real is a quest that never ends, and first I'm glad to have you along for the ride.